Hello everyone, good evening. So basically we are here to continue on the topic of our ointments, paste and gels. Going ahead, we'll be talking
What we
about
discussed was
the
about
further
semi solids
continuation
being
of our
classified into
chapter
ointment,
in
creams.
paste, gels, volatiles and plastic. We discussed about what are ointments. So they are basically with or without medicaments for external preparations. Let's not forget that they exhibit a plastic flow property. It's the most important part to be remembered for our entrance purpose. Further, we went on to see that with regards to its classification, they are classified according to state of medicaments, medicated and non-medicated. The non-medicated ointments have application as emollient, protective and lubricating effect. According to type of ointment basis, there are four classifications: oleaginous basis, which includes your waxes, oil, calamine ointment; your absorption basis, which has wolfat, lanolin, and salicylic acid ointment; your emulsifying basis, which is basically involving your surfactants, example emulsifying ointment; your water soluble basis, which is basically having polyethylene glycol basis, macrogol ointment. Further, according to method of preparation, we had two parts: incorporation method and fusion method. Sulfur ointment was being prepared by incorporation method and fusion method was involving simple ointment. There are two more types under method of preparation. We'll discuss that. According to type of ointment basis, I have already been shown over here that what are those. To see advantages and limitations. With regards to advantages, it's applied topically, so it can be applied to site specific way. Unnecessary exposure of drug to system is avoided, so less side effects. It is going to have better bioavailability since it will avoid first pass metabolism. It can be given to unconscious patients as well. Further, with regards to limitations, it causes staining. That's one problem. So it's cosmetically less aesthetic. Again, dose accuracy will be different. Again, there would be contamination on fingertip as well. So there are limitations. With regards to the formulation of ointment, it basically has a drug, ointment base, buffer, antioxidants, and preservatives. With regards to drug के कुछ specific properties है which should be followed. So your drug should have rationale for local or systemic effect. If you have a peptic ulcer, it's very obvious peptic ulcer के लिए आप topically तो कुछ apply नहीं करोगे. You will take a tablet. You will go via oral route. So that's the funda over here as well, that if it is going to be given topically, it should have that rationale. It should have sufficient solubility in the respective vehicles in which it is being used. तो आप जो भी ointment base में उसको dissolve करोगे, it should have solubility in that, but it should not possess high affinity towards it. Because अगर वो base में ज़्यादा time रह गया, अगर उसको base के लिए ज़्यादा affinity है, तो it won't move out of the base into the skin. समझ रहे हो? ड्रग को बेस में solubilize किया है, फिर आपने वो ऑइंटमेंट को स्किन पे अप्लाई किया. ऑइंटमेंट को स्किन पे अप्लाई करने के बाद आइडियली ड्रग शुड एंटर द स्किन, बट अगर उसका ऑइंटमेंट बेस से ज़्यादा अफिनिटी रहेगा तो वो उधर ही रह जाएगा. इट वोंट मूव इनटू द स्किन. अगेन the absorption is by passive diffusion. It depends on concentration of formulation. Nothing important for us from this part of the slide. Further, talking about properties of ideal ointment base. तो अभी हम लोग ड्रग के प्रॉपर्टी के बारे में बात कर रहे थे कि उसका कुछ रैशनल होना चाहिए फॉर लोकल एंड सिस्टमिक इफेक्ट, उसका सफिशिएंट सल्यूबिलिटी होना चाहिए, इट शुड एब्जॉर्ब बाय पैसिव डिफ्यूजन एंड इट डिपेंड्स ऑन concentration of formulation. Further, talking about properties of ideal ointment base, they should be inert. So when you say that it should be inert, it should not have any interaction. It should be non-irritating. It should not irritate the skin. It should be non-sensitizing rashes या कुछ नहीं आना चाहिए. Most importantly, what we need to remember from this particular slide, it should be compatible with skin pH, which is around 5.5. Don't forget this. It should be compatible with skin pH, which is around 5.5. It should match the skin secretions. So जो भी skin secretions होंगे, in that case sweat and whatever we give out, it should be compatible with that. It should not dehydrate the skin. It should allow wound healing comfortably, which usually occurs. It should not interfere with normal skin function as well. It should be pharmaceutically elegant. Yes, since you're applying it topically, it's necessary that it looks good. It should have good solvent or emulsifying property, so easily solubilize होना चाहिए. It should produce ointment of good consistency. So जो भी आपका final ointment बन रहा है, that should have a good consistency. It should enhance contact of medicament with your skin and should provide you long residence time as well. तो आप जो भी मेडिकमेंट अप्लाई कर रहे हो स्किन पे, इट शुड अलाउ अ लॉन्गर रेसिडेंस टाइम ओवर देयर. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए अप्लाई किया और वॉश अवे हो गया. नो, Again, it should be emollient, non-greasy and easily removable. So when you're washing it, तभी वो easily निकलना चाहिए. It should not stay back and get adhered to the screen. It should not create that problem. It should release medicament readily and it should not interfere with the drug penetration. So nothing important from this slide. Just remember that it should be compatible with skin pH, which is around 5.5. That stands most important. अगर इसके सिवा और कुछ भी question आता है from this particular slide to you all, you will be still able to answer that simply because it's going to be around a general knowledge question only. So general knowledge in the sense उसका solubility होगा कि नहीं, then it should have good solvent emulsifying property and all are very straightforward and easy questions. So I'm sure
Here
you
starts
won't
the
go wrong on
important
that.
part, types of semi-solid bases.
Remember that first table. We need to remember that table perfectly. Yeah, where we talked about four bases and their examples. So here I'm just going a bit in detail. No need to go to a much depth. No need to refer to a reference book for this particular chapter as well. Talking about oleaginous bases, the first one in that criteria. So these are water insoluble bases. They form a occlusive film on skin. Skin के ऊपर एक film बना देते. Under oleaginous bases, you have different types. I repeat, under oleaginous bases, you have different types. The first type being hydrocarbon base. Oleaginous base के अंदर hydrocarbon base का example है. So your hydrocarbon bases are not absorbed by the skin. They form occlusive film since it's a part of oleaginous base. So जो भी oleaginous base को apply होगा, those all things will also apply to your hydrocarbon bases. So they form occlusive film on skin. They restrict loss of moisture. तो skin से moisture loss नहीं होने देते. It restricts loss of moisture. Moisture का loss नहीं होगा तो it will keep the skin soft. But sometimes if moisture loss doesn't occur to a great extent, तो हो सकता है जो skin के pores होते हैं, I hope we all are aware about it. Our skin has small pores जिसमें से water loss होता है over a period of time. So if that water loss is being restricted, it might happen that वहाँ पे water logging हो जाए और अगर sweat body से बाहर जाएगा नहीं, it might just retain body weight, body heat. तो अगर body का heat retain कर लेगा वो, then it might give a uncomfortable feeling and feeling of warmth. If you recollect many times when you apply a ointment or a cream, ऐसा feel होता है कि वहाँ पे बहुत गर्म लग रहा है, as if you know some heated things are being kept. That might happen sometimes. अलग अलग reason होते हैं, not necessarily this is the only reason, but it might happen that your oleaginous bases might just block your pores, skin pores. अगर skin pores block हो गए तो it will restrict the loss of moisture. अगर moisture loss नहीं हुआ तो फिर body का heat loss नहीं होगा. Body का heat body में रहेगा तो it will generate a kind of feeling of warmth over there which would be a bit uncomfortable. Again, your oleaginous bases are immiscible with water, so the washing is difficult, but again they are sticky as well. So as said, they are immiscible with water, washing is difficult, sticky है, that's why it is unpleasant. Skin पे apply करोगे तो washing them becomes a bit, it's not a entertaining effect, it doesn't feel good. It is inert, it is again stable to dry sterilization, so no problem even if you subject it to dry sterilization, nor it has any skin sensitization. So this was about hydrocarbon bases, which is under oleaginous bases. From entrance point of view, you may remember that they can give an uncomfortable feeling of warmth, and yes, remember that they are stable to dry sterilization and they don't cause any skin sensitization. Further, few other parts which are included under your hydrocarbon bases, and sorry, under your hydrocarbon bases you had all these things. Other than that, whatever bases which comes under your oleaginous bases, they include your fixed oils. So your fixed oils such as almond, castor oil, they all are used as emollient and they have solvent properties. That's why they can also be used. Your synthetic esters of fatty acids such as your glycerol monostearate and isopropyl monostearate. Isopropyl monostearate, sorry, glycerol monostearate and isopropyl myristate. Your isopropyl myristate is one which is being used to a very great extent in industry for your creams. So IPM is one such material which is being used to a great extent. Again, longer chain alcohols like your stearic acid, your sterile alcohol, they have high water absorption capacity. So वो ज़्यादा water absorb कर लेगा. Actually, it can lead to a problem. Since वो water ज़्यादा absorb करेगा, it will hold the water at its place. I repeat, since it absorbs a lot of water. It will hold the water at its place, so it might just lead to a discomfort feeling. So that's one another what we can say unpleasant part of it. And your hydrocarbon waxes, they are auxiliary bases as well, so they hold oils within the metric structure without bleeding, such as also ozokerite and sericin. No need to get in depth with this. No need to get in depth with this. What we need to remember is the examples: your glycerol monostearate and isopropyl myristate. Isopropyl myristate, as I said, is being used in industry
Next
to a
one,
great
which is your
extent.
absorption
So
bases.
that was about your
Absorption bases
oleaginous
are
bases
usually used when you want to prepare a water in oil emulsion.
So ये सब चीज़ें याद रखना when we'll be doing the topic of emulsions. I'll ask you this questions. So when it comes to your emulsions topic, when it talk about absorption bases, your absorption base use water in oil emulsions as your final product. So when it comes to water in oil emulsion, the base which is always preferred is your lanolin. Lanolin is used to a great extent to prepare water in oil emulsifying bases. Again, lanolin is basically consisting of wool fat plus water. Lanolin is consisting of wool fat plus water. If you want lanolin which is without water, तो anhydrous lanolin भी आता है, which is known as anhydrous base. So your anhydrous base will just contain wool fat. When you add water to wool fat, it basically becomes lanolin. So lanolin is wool fat plus water. If you want anhydrous base, you should go with wool fat. If you want a water in oil emulsifying base, you can use lanolin, which is consisting of wool fat plus water. सो एब्जॉर्प्शन बेस के एग्जांपल्स याद रखना, वो कौन से इमल्शंस बनाने के लिए यूज होते हैं वो याद रखना. टॉकिंग फर्दर अबाउट emulsifying bases. In case of emulsifying bases, these are water insoluble, but yes, they are miscible to some extent, and they are also washable. They are basically oil in water emulsions. They are basically oil in water emulsions. जैसे एब्जॉर्प्शन का वाटर इन ऑयल है, इसका ऑयल इन वाटर है, इट्स द अदर वे राउंड. So when it comes to your emulsifying bases, हम लोग ने फर्स्ट स्लाइड पे पढ़ा था, they contain surfactants, right? So they contain hydrophilic surfactants which are of anionic, cationic or non-ionic type. This surfactant basically enhances percutaneous absorption. तो स्किन से surfactants absorption बड़ा करता है. However, if you use a higher concentration of surfactant, it might happen that surfactant और drug का complex बन जाए. तो अगर आपने surfactant का concentration बहुत बढ़ा दिया, तो एक चीज़ प्रॉब्लम दे सकती है, आपका सर्फैक्टेंट और ड्रग एक दूसरे का कॉम्प्लेक्स बना देंगे. मोमेंट सर्फैक्टेंट और ड्रग का कॉम्प्लेक्स बन गया, द रिलीज ऑफ द ड्रग विल बी रिड्यूस्ड. आई रिपीट, मोमेंट सर्फैक्टेंट और ड्रग का कॉम्प्लेक्स बन गया, द रिलीज ऑफ द ड्रग विल बी रिड्यूस्ड. सो इंश्योर दैट योर कॉन्सेंट्रेशन ऑफ सर्फैक्टेंट इज appropriate. बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं, बहुत कम नहीं. Don't forget, emulsifying basis is for oil in water emulsions, but your absorption base was for water in oil emulsions. Keep an eye on all these things parallelly as well. It's important to be remembered. Talking about the last type, which is your water soluble bases. So when it comes to water soluble bases, it basically includes your polyethylene glycols and macrogols. Don't forget this, your polyethylene glycol and macrogol are water soluble bases. Even if you just remember these examples, it's enough. Your low molecular weight polyethylene glycols are liquids, while your high molecular weight polyethylene glycols are waxy solid. So polyethylene glycol, your PEG comes in different grades. PEG 400 भी आता है, PEG 4000 भी आता है. It's available in different grades. So depending on the grade what they are using, it works accordingly. So don't worry about that factor. PEG 4000, as I said, PEG 4000 is of high molecular weight. तो high molecular weight का इसके लिए PEG 4000 is waxy solid, while PEG 400 is a liquid. So it gives product of your required consistency. Again, it has limited capacity to absorb water, so that's one problem. But never mind, it's not important from our entrance point of view. It can be removed easily by washing, so even that's not a problem. Again, other bases rather than polyethylene glycol and macrogol which are included, they are basically your glycerins, sorbitol and polyethylene glycol. Glycerin, sorbitol and polyethylene glycol. Polyethylene glycol already ऊपर किया था. Examples भूलना मत. Water soluble bases के examples, emulsifying bases में surfactants use होते हैं for oil in water emulsions, absorption bases which are used for water in oil emulsions. Here Last part, which is of compounding of ointments. So ointments compound कैसे करते हैं? How do you kind of make them? So first is the incorporation method. Incorporation method के अलग नाम्स है. Incorporation method is also called leviation, trituration or mechanical mixing method. Incorporation method is also known as leviation, trituration or mechanical mixing method. Whatever your insoluble substances or your drugs will be there, your insoluble substances or drug will be reduced to fine powder. उसको fine powder बनाने के लिए it is passed through 85 mesh. No need to remember that. No one is going to ask us क्या mesh से pass करते हैं. सिर्फ इतना याद रखो, incorporation method है, उसके अलग नाम है like leviation, trituration and mechanical mixing method. It is mixed with levigating agent to produce dispersion. So we make a dispersion over here in which your solid particles, your insoluble substances of drug are being spread and a dispersion is being made with ointment base. So what will be your levigating agent in that case? So your levigating agent may be a melted base, कोई base हो सकता है वो, or it might be miscible liquid with the base. Your levigating agent may be a melted base or it might be miscible liquid with the base. So what are the examples for your levigating agents? Your examples for levigating agents includes your mineral oil, also it includes your glycerin. Don't forget these two examples. Your levigating agent for ointment includes your mineral oil and glycerin. At the end, it is being passed through triple roller mill. So this triple roller mill is only to gain uniformity and fineness. किसका fineness? आपके drug particles का. So you are just reducing the particles of your you are just reducing the size of your drug particles further. What we need to remember from incorporation method is incorporation method के दूसरे नाम, which is leviation, trituration and mechanical mixing. Next thing we need to remember that it is mixed with levigating agent to produce a dispersion. So example of levigating agents are your mineral oil and glycerin. Further, there is another method, fusion method. Fusion method is basically suitable for ingredients that are solid at room temperature. So your ingredients which are being used in fusion method, they should be solid at room temperature. Again, here also importance is the examples, beeswax and hard paraffin. Beeswax and hard paraffin are being manufactured as ointment based by fusion method. So beeswax or hard paraffin use होता है to make ointments by fusion method. Don't forget this. Only thing what we need to remember from fusion method entirely is the name of the bases. So your beeswax and hard paraffin are being used to manufacture your ointments via fusion method. Your solid drugs which are readily soluble in melted base are being used. Also you can incorporate significant amount of water in your absorption bases. Not important, no need to get into the steps, how are they being made and what is being used. Further, dilution method से कौन से cream बनाते हैं? So I told you in the first slide that in classification according to method of manufacturing, there are only two mentioned. One was incorporation method जिससे sulfur था, another was fusion method जिससे simple ointment था. So just examples of two more ways of making ointments. One is your dilution method. So dilution method से cetrimide cream बनाते हैं. Cetrimide cream is in the concentration of 1 to 5%. It is used in seborrhea. Again आप same cetrimide cream बना सकते हो in the concentration of 0.5 to 1%, which is for minor skin infections. So seborrhea is basically one of the skin infections only. जब seborrhea के लिए आप cetrimide cream बनाते हो, it's in the concentration of 1 to 5%. And when you make it for minor skin infections, it is at a very lower concentration. So cetrimide cream से concentration अलग होगा and 0.5 to 1% से dilution method से जब आप बनाते हो तभी application would be different. Higher concentration of 1 to 5% is for seborrhea, lower concentration is for minor infections. Don't forget cetrimide cream is being made by dilution method. Last one, ointments prepared by chemical reaction. So what are the ointments which are being prepared by chemical reactions? Chemical reactions are different mechanistic steps of doing. No need to go in depth over there as well. We just need to remember the examples over here. Ointments prepared by chemical reaction includes your strong mercuric nitrate ointment and your oleated mercury. So just examples yaad rakho. Strong mercuric nitrate ointment is being made by chemical reaction and oleated mercury ointment is also made by chemical reaction. These are ointments which can be containing free iodine and Ointments containing free iodine is basically without iodine, because iodine stains. आपको पता होगा अगर आपने बेटाडीन कभी लिया है, बेटाडीन गार्गल्स, इट कंटेन्स पोविडोन एंड आयोडीन. बेटाडीन अगर स्किन पे भी रह जाता है तो इट लीव्स दैट येलो कलर, so that is cause of iodine. So ointments containing free iodine, so it would be without iodine, and ointments containing combined iodine जिसमें iodine रहेगा. I know these terms are a bit confusing with regards to staining and non-staining. No need to go in depth. No need to go in depth. I repeat, just remember your ointments prepared by chemical reaction basically includes your both ointments containing free iodine as well as ointments containing combined iodine. Don't forget its example of strong mercuric nitrate ointment and olated mercury. Don't forget infusion method beeswax and hard paraffin are example. Don't forget cetrimide cream is being made by dilution method in two different concentration. One is 1 to 5% concentration for seborrhea, another is 0.5 to 1% concentration for minor skin infections. इनकॉर्पोरेशन मेथड का दूसरा नाम क्या है? लेविगेशन, ट्रिचुरेशन एंड मैकेनिकल मिक्सिंग. लेविगेटिंग एजेंट्स के एग्जांपल मत भूलना, मिनरल ऑयल एंड ग्लिसरीन. That's all parallelly by the end of this week. So you have the contact numbers being mentioned. Any doubts, any queries, feel free to reach out to us. Thank you so much, students. Take care, stay home, stay safe.